Welcome back. Here's Spec. Hello. So, I should have worn this shirt the other day when I talked about my dad. He, my uncle, and stepdad were huge Phillies fans. So I want to thank you all for the comments that are coming in. Here we go. And what you need to remember, part 2. So you'll get much more elder resources in book 2. I've been debating whether to start some of the videos at the same time. So keep a lookout for a separate playlist. I'm not sure if I can manage both at once, but I've been thinking about it. So at the fair I went to earlier this week, I found out about this organization, and this ties into, and this will be in the footnotes, of course, resources that are culturally geared. It's an Asian community center that's actually not too far from us. And years ago, we took our mother-in-law to their meals. They offer in a church, I think it's every day, but all the info will be in the comments. Meals for Asian seniors. And the food was good. You can bring your family. So she was hesitant to go the first time, so we went with her and we got to talk to other people there and introduce her to some other people in case she was shy. So the other thing I found out, and I want to do more info, is it's an adult daycare center, and it's intergenerational. All the research has showed it's great for the kids, it's great for the seniors that they spend the day together. So that'll be in the comments again, and I want to find out more about this organization. So here in Portland, Oregon, we're lucky to have 2 major community centers to help guide families. The Hollywood Senior Center, recently renamed Center for Positive Aging. How's that for a spin? And then the Neighborhood House. Senior centers sometimes have free or inexpensive grab bars, benches for your tub. Oh, on Instagram, there's this cool lady. I'll put her in the comments too, who has all kinds of tech and equipment hacks. And one of the things that I don't know if I've seen before, maybe I have, but it was a good reminder. It's a bench for the bathroom, but it has a slide. So anyway, info will be in the comments. So there's these tools that my dad loved and really helped. It's this funny little device, again in the comments, that hooks into that U-hook in the side of your car door, and it just gives you that extra oomph to pull yourself out or to balance getting in. They're really fantastic. So if your loved one is wheelchair bound or has mobility issues, you can apply to get a handicap placard in their name, even if they can't drive anymore. Be so helpful for them. You can walk all that distance, but even riding in those transport chairs is pretty rough for an elder, so they might not like it. So, and lightweight collapsible transport wheelchairs are readily available online and pretty inexpensive. So sometimes a family member will complain on how you're handling things. They may even shout, "You don't know what you're doing." They're just unhappy. Your response should be, "Okay, well then you take over. We'll have everything you need packed by tomorrow morning." Say it loud and proud. I guarantee you, no one will ever take you up on it. So don't worry about calling someone's bluff. They aren't going to do it. That's a little sad, but feel confident in what you're doing and know that you're doing a good job. So remember the Ohio Players song, Roller Coaster of Love. It was kind of silly and goofy. Caregiving is definitely a crazy ride. Your loved one will shock you when you least expect it. So, when my mother-in-law lived with us, my husband and I went out one night, and we get back and we see a voicemail on our answering machine. Yes, it's so far back in the past. We still had a landline and an answering machine. So anyway, the message was from both of our caregivers with the same question. are we not coming anymore? And my husband and I started laughing. The message went on. It's like, your mother called to cancel us. So, mom never had their numbers. And at 88, she's still crafty. This was impressive. Like we were like shocked and like, oh, wow, this is really cool. So this is our teenage rebel. So do we discipline her? And how? So most insurances now provide respite for caregivers. Yes, it can be challenging to get a responsible person to granny sit your family member. So one time my partner and I, needed a break, and, we just needed someone in the house in case mom would fall, because that life alert thing just did not work. She was too light. And, when a senior lays on the floor for too long, they can go into shock and have many other complications. So, we got someone, and we knew we'd be where there'd be hardly any cell service, maybe none whatsoever. We took the camper van out, and the sitter had the doctor's number. And of course, they knew to call 911 if there's any problems. We had no problem with that. So we just arrived where we are, and I see this like random ping. It's late at night, the ocean's really loud, it's stormy, and it's like, oh shit, so let me see what I can do. So a very garbly voice message says like, well, I just want to let you know that I'm leaving, and your mom didn't want me here. And like, we're 3 fucking hours away from home. She's leaving? It's like 9 o'clock at night. And like, we anticipated her staying till like 10 the next morning. What should we do? So I climbed on top of the van, and I'm like looking for that signal, do you hear me now? Do you hear me now? And I distinctly remember yelling, okay, here comes the bitch again, just so you know. I know that you're probably anticipating this. So if a 3-year-old told you they didn't need supervision, you'd leave them alone overnight? And then we lost cell service. So I don't remember really what happened. And yes, bossy controlling. When I was younger, I did earn the nickname the Sarge. But damn, you can't leave someone alone when you're being paid to look after them, no matter what they said. We told her, just sit in the other room so she doesn't see you. You don't need to interact. You just need to listen a little on occasion to make sure she hasn't fallen. So anyway, I'll try and calm down. Maybe not. So in Washington and Oregon, they have the Death with Dignity Act. So the organization to guide you with this is Compassionate Choices, at least in Oregon. So I'll save you time. It's almost impossible to qualify for it. It infuriates me. This country, in my opinion, is unkind to elders. They torture them to death with procedures as they're approaching end of life, which ideally should be a smooth transition to whatever you believe might happen after death. There's so many theories out there. I'm not getting into religion, but this time should not be just medical intervention after medical intervention. And some docs feel like they want to ratchet up the procedure to, get the elder in the best shape ever. But our bodies are going to fail. We're not bionic yet. So why can't we let people go gently into the night? So, in Switzerland, there are 2 organizations that offer assisted suicide to patients, Pegasus and Dignitas. There's a really great book out there that will be in there. Amy Bloom, she wrote an opinion piece in the New York Times also. Oh, it might have been Modern Love. But, they offer you injections. One does injections, one you still have to swallow. And it's not for everyone, only the wealthy. It costs at least $10,000. You have to get your butt over to Switzerland. And you still do need to be with it. You can't just be out of it and your family, takes you over there. So, but all that will be in the comments. So here's our section, support friends and writing. So there's no doubt we had so many advantages in this situation. As tough as it was, we were very fortunate. My mother-in-law had a good pension along with great health insurance. We were renting a small house at the time, but if we knew if she lived with us, we need a permanent situation. So we started house hunting. So whether you're in the same situation as we were or for your current house, these are some of the things you want to think about. So we need at least 2 bathrooms. So in case like there ever need to be sterility or anything, she could have one, we could have the other. And also, like, if we ever need someone to move in for full-time care, again, mother-in-law had great benefits. We wanted 2 bathrooms also. She loved plants. We needed a yard. So winters were going to be much different than what she was used to. So in the one room when we bought the house, we were able to add French doors to her bedroom, which led to an enclosed sunroof, and then had a ramp right into the yard. Again, this is not the norm in any way, shape, or form. Just giving you some ideas. She was petite, so we didn't have to worry about doorways or hallways being extra large. But out here in the Pacific Northwest, Renaissance Construction Company builds houses with wider doorways. And I'm not promoting them. I'm just telling you that things that are out there. The other thing, they're co-housing models. And all this will be in the comments. There's a guy here in Portland called Eli Spivak, and he does these interesting models. Again, comments. I feel like I'm repeating myself, sorry. So providing healing for yourself and others may take many forms. Our Powerful Tools for Caregivers class, some people just never shared. They just showed up each week. But you'd still see the benefit in their eyes. So sometimes people just need community. Some people just need to be listened to with no suggestions. That's hard. I'm always like a problem solver. I want to solve it. And again, that class was so important. So a year or 2 after my mother-in-law passed on, I saw a class in the community catalog. The title was something like Writing Through Grief. In that class, it was so healing. Some people never shared their writing. We all had different losses and were grieving different people, but we bonded. And I still am friends with the women that I got together with there. So, although this could be interpreted as a writing assignment, I'm not telling you to do this for any creative or any healing bit. I'm telling you for practicality. And all the stories I've heard from all our friends of friends, it seems that at a certain age, one just gets stubborn and combative, along with insisting they don't need any help. So here's the assignment. And I just asked my husband the other day, have you done it, honey? He's 74. And he's like, no. And it's like, holy crap, what are you waiting for? So you're gonna, write a letter to yourself stating you will accept help. The letter should say, you won't be a stubborn ass to your spouse or friends. So pause the video right now. Pause it. Come on. So, it doesn't have to say much. And you should start with Dear Future Me. Have you done it? And remember to sign it love me. You know, you want to be sweet and kind to yourself. You know, please do it. I'll put mine in the comment section. Here we are into the little spirituality block. Remember at the beginning where I said there's like 5 sections? I should have this memorized on the information section, so or in all the learning bits. Woof, what a day. Anyway, so we're in the spiritual section. So, you know, one can train to become a death doula through the organization called ANELDA. Also, one can get trained to sit with long-term or short-term hospice patients. In my case, it was through an organization called No One Dies Alone. Going all woo-woo, some hospice workers speak about lucid dreaming with the person who's about to depart. Hand-holding or just being a silent presence can lead to moments of awe. You know, death can be weird, moving, and sometimes gross. But it's a unique honor to be there to witness the passing from one realm into another. You can do your own funeral in home like they used to do in olden days. Well, I sound ancient there. There's no reason why you can't keep the body at home and wash your loved one yourself and dress them in fresh clothes and then have the crematorium or funeral home take it from there. Check out the End Well organization. They're on all social media. They have a website. Really terrific stuff. So, you know, many people have difficulty processing loss, souls, missing souls. Currently, there's a fascinating grief project, for lack of a better word, on Instagram. It's a young woman. She plays different albums from her late father's music collection. As a music lover, it just touches me every day. Can't wait to log into Instagram, see what she's going to play. She has cute little tchotchkes that spin around. She does vinyl, so it's highly entertaining, very stylish, different outfits, and it's her expression of grief. And last week, she had her mom on, too. It's very moving. So it was my experience with my mother-in-law on her last day of life that led me to volunteer with hospice. Obviously, we didn't know it was her last day, but I had what I like to call the woo-woo moment. So we're visiting at the facility. It was pretty chaotic because she was new there, and we're all getting the lay of the land, and we really wanted her to have success there. You know, you're in a foreign environment, you're trusting people to take care of your loved one, and, you know, we just wanted her to be happy and safe. So we're trying to decide what to bring her for dinner. I was about to ask her what her preference was, and her eyes were closed, and she clearly said, "Oh, look how beautiful everything is." It wasn't said to me. She's unaware of what was happening in the room. And it wasn't due to dementia. So many hospice people will talk about these moments when the loved ones are between two worlds. You know, you really want to know who they're seeing in their mind, in their dreams, what they're seeing. You know, there's movies about it. I think the famous one was with Natalie Wood, Christopher Walken, and Robert Wagner. The name's escaping me right now, but they really were looking at that moment of death. What happens to your brain? Does that control what you're seeing, what you're feeling? I'm really curious about that kind of stuff. So here we are on to the last section of this segment, grateful. So, you know, I am so grateful that our neighbors loved getting to know my mother-in-law. They would help whenever they could. Some just visited, others took her to appointments, which that was so sweet. We try and pay it forward by doing that for as many people as we can. You know, some families are stretched, some families don't have people close. So whenever you can lend a helping hand, do it, please. So our neighbors were terrific. I am so grateful that my mother-in-law gave me the gift of wonder through those words on her last day. You know, I hadn't experienced anything like that. And to think, like, what happens to us? You know, is it our mind? Is it our soul? And then, like, how quickly the transition happens. You hear the breath, and then, so what's going on? I'm so curious. I'm so grateful that I went further after witnessing that. So I'm so grateful that we're all on the same page of letting her escape her worldly suffering. My husband and I are grateful to each other that we pushed through. We sought guidance rather than run away from each other during this tough time. You know, it's so easy to understand when people just leave a situation in the name of self-preservation. There should be no judgment there. As usual, there'll be a music playlist in the comments, all the footnotes too. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with those who need it. That's what Spec is telling you. Next time, it's chapter 4 already. My husband's illness. Oh, stumbled a little today, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I really sound ancient there. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time.